Hi guys, welcome to another RDI Easy Sewing session with myself, Avena Prince. I am always happy when you guys decide to join us, and of course I enjoy making this content for you. And if you are enjoying the content, please like and subscribe if you haven't done that already, and also hit the notification bell so as soon as we post stuff you know. And of course, if you know anyone who would benefit from our content, please share the video with them and encourage them to do the same. So guys, welcome back. So today we are continuing our conversation on identifying professionally made garments, and one of the areas we want to talk about is the tidiness of the work. So whether you are purchasing garments like all of us here on planet Earth, or you are involved in garment manufacturing, this video is definitely for you. Whenever garments are constructed, you want to pay attention to the inner part of the garment. Oftentimes, people feel like because it is the inner part, especially persons who are just going into garment construction, because it is the inner part, then it's okay. Both the outside and the inside parts of your garments need to be tidy. Now, when we're talking about tidy, we're talking about a number of things. The last time we spoke about stitching, but this time I want to talk about the tidiness of the stitching. Oftentimes, and this is something that I always say to my students in class, if a stitch was not meant to be there, so you sewed it and you found that the garment was too large or too small and then you had to make an adjustment, remove the incorrect stitch. So you should not have double stitching because you had two stitches for something that was large and now it's small, or vice versa. You want to ensure that only the correct stitch remains after you are done with your garment. So whether it is you are making the darts, whether it is you are sewing the seams, wherever that applies, you always want to ensure that the stitch you have is the stitch that should actually be there. So if you are the one who is manufacturing the garment, remove the second stitch. If you are the one purchasing the garment, then know that the best of attention did not go into finishing your garment. Okay? As soon as you start stitching, for those of you who are already in garment manufacturing, you know that there's always a length of thread prior to you starting, and often there's a length of thread after you are done. If you have in between areas where you need to restitch or you need to tighten up anything, there's also going to be strings of thread in that area. As you're working, just go ahead and cut these loose ends off. So by the time you are done with your garment, you don't have to try to remember where the loose threads were because you would already have dealt with them. So on the buying side, you want to ensure that your garments don't have loose threads all over, unless if of course you want to cut them yourself. One additional area to pay attention to along the lines of neatness and your stitching is to ensure that your stitching allowance is the same from when you start to when you're finished. Okay, this part I want you to pay attention to in the area that, for one, take for example, if you have darts, your darts start at one measurement and they end at another. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about areas where you can see the stitching really was not straight. So that is something else to pay attention to. You want your stitching to be straight. You don't want your stitching to be wobbly and looking all zigzag when it is not a zigzag stitch. But in addition to that, I'm saying that if you left 1 inch sewing allowance, ensure that from the start to the end you maintain 1 inch sewing allowance. If you left ½ inch sewing allowance, ensure that from the start to the end you maintain ½ inch sewing allowance. Another reason for that is that will affect the fit of your garment, as well as it will affect the size of your garment. The second thing I want to mention about how to identify professionally made garments is paying attention to the fabric edge. Now, I know if you are just going into sewing, investing in equipment like sergers or interlockers may not be wise at that time, because maybe you're just dabbling and you don't know if that's something you really want to do. However, there are a number of options that you can use to ensure that your edging is neat. So all of that fraying that you sometimes see inside of garments, that is just uncalled for, and that definitely depicts a garment that is not professionally done. Professionally done garments will not have endless fraying on the inside because all of the edging would be properly finished. Now, if you do not have a serger, one is to conceal the edging using binding. So it may mean that you might need to stitch it twice, but at least the binding will conceal the edgings, and so you will have a neater finish for your garment. There's also the option of using an overcast foot, which gives you a very similar finish as if you had used a serger. The main difference, however, is that whereas the serger will cut the edge of the fabric while it serges, the overcast foot will not do that. That's an item that we have available for purchase at Master Fix It. There's also the option of using the pinking shears and the zigzag stitching, as well as the option of lining. Now, lining is one method that in all of them is the most pricey method, because it means that technically you're making the garment twice. Okay, however, the professional touch of lining a garment, it's just lovely. Okay guys, so to recap, 2 additional areas to help you identify professionally finished garments are the tidiness of the finishing, especially on the inside, as well as the tidiness of the stitching work. So I hope you learned something new today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.